Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. Today we are going to start the long and laborious project of turning this rough sawn lumber into a finished product we can use for wall coverings inside the shop. So if you guys don't remember, we've been working on this for a little while down at the sawmill. We got all of these pine logs for free, and I probably have, I don't know, 8 to 10 hours in milling all of this, and I have, right now I think it's about 106 boards. I think there's about 90 of these 10, 11 footers. And then there's about 16 of the shorter 7, 8 footers. And we'll use those shorter boards for like above and below windows and stuff, so we don't have to cut down these full length pieces that will run from the floor to the ceiling. But yeah, I have air dried these outside for about 30 days, and then I brought them inside the garage here, set them on nice flat level concrete, stickered them, and I've had them running with a fan and a dehumidifier. I don't know if you can see over there. I know it's not a kiln, but it's certainly better than having them dry outside. And so I think they're fairly dry. I'm going to run a couple through the planer to start, and we'll run the moisture meter to see, once we get that outside layer shaved off, what we're reading as far as moisture. But I think they're pretty good. 1-inch material, especially when you're talking about softwood, dries pretty quick. But yeah, I think we are ready to pick these up and move them to the shop and start working on getting them planed down. Like I said, it is going to be a long process with 106 boards, running them all through the planer, trying to get them all the same thickness and cleaned on two sides, and then running 106 boards through the joiner. And then the plan is I want to shiplap these, so if they do shrink at all, there'll still be a little bit of an overlap with them, so you won't be able to see back behind, the wall covering. It'll still be covered. One really nice thing about this garage is we did put in a 24-foot door, so getting material in this garage is very easy. But the problem is getting them into the shop with a 9-foot door is going to be a challenge, and I don't want to have to do it by hand. So let's see if we can find a way to work that with the machine. All right, so we got all that wood in there. That little pallet dolly worked pretty good for making the one end mobile while we pushed it with the other end of the tractor. So the plan here is we're going to set up the planer right in the middle of the shop, like so. And then as we work through this pile, we're going to go ahead and set them down on this side, drop it down another half a crank, run them through again, set it on this side, drop it down a half a crank, and just keep working back and forth. This is going to be a big project. Like I said, 106 boards we got to plane down, so we're going to do a little production planing and get started. I've got my dad here to give me a hand, because when you're doing this much, it's nice to have one person feeding and one person pulling the finished boards off and setting them down. So that should save us a boatload of time here. Let's get started. All right, guys, so there we go. That is 3 passes, and right now each pass is taking about an hour. And I know you guys are going to want to know how much am I taking off with each pass. We started at 1 inch thickness and we are down to 7/16. So if you take 1/16 divided by 3, what does that work out to? I think we're taking 1/64 off each pass. And I could probably go a little bit heavier, but I am trying to run 3 boards through at one time. So if these are 6 inches and we have a 20-inch planer, we're probably running about 18 inches at least through the planer at any given time. And I really don't want to take more than about a 1/16 inch off if I'm running the full width of the planer through. There's no reason to bog down the machine, and when you start trying to take too much, you get what's called tear out, where it'll actually tear the grain out of the wood as the knives are spinning. So if you just take it in small bites, you're going to get a much nicer finish and it'll be better in the end. But man, I am really excited about some of these pieces here that have this water staining on them. I think they're going to look really cool. They almost have that weathered look to them. Not all of them have that. It's only about the first 3 rows. I think we've got, what, if there's 5 there and 3 rows down, there maybe was 1 tree that had that water staining in it. So we've got about 15 boards that have that extra coloring in it. And it's going to be really fun once we start putting that up on the wall to be mixing that in. This wall is going to be full of character. If you haven't seen the previous videos, the plan here, we have kind of our little accent wall back here with our live edge cherry slabs that we shingled kind of like siding. And then all of these boards are going to go vertical on this wall here. So this wall, or this corner back here, is going to stand out. We're going to do it back behind the bench here too. Right now, I think we only have enough material to do behind the workbench, this whole wall, and maybe that corner there. That's probably all we're going to get done this winter, and then next winter the plan would be to attack the rest of the garage. All right, guys, let's go ahead and call a spade a spade. This is obviously a very time-consuming process. Like I said, we have 3 passes through right now. It's taken 3 hours, so it's taking about an hour per pass, and we probably still have at least 3 more passes left we need to do. And then after that, we still have to run it through the joiner. That's probably going to take another 3 hours to run all these through. That should be quicker than the planer. The planer should probably take the longest amount of time out of everything we have left to do. So another 3 hours for the joiner, probably another 3 hours for the table saw, and then probably another 3 hours for running everything through the router table to give us that shiplap joint. So when we hang these on the wall, if they do have any shrinking left to do, when they do shrink, they'll still be covered. There'll still be a joint there, and you won't see back to that pink foam board back behind the boards. So let's talk about, if this is so time consuming, what is your alternative? Well, obviously going to Home Depot and buying some 1x6x12 footers tongue and groove. And right now the cost of those is about $12 a board. And if you multiply the 106 boards that we have here times the $12 per board, it comes out to, let's see, I made some notes here, I think $1,272. So that's what we are saving ourselves. I know I'm not really comparing apples to apples because Home Depot stuff is kiln dried. It's going to have a tongue and groove joint. Ours is going to be air dried, and it's going to have a shiplap joint. But for the purposes of, it's basically saving me having to go to Home Depot and spend that money. I'll be able to do the same thing. It's not going to be the same exact product, but again, it's going to save me from spending that at Home Depot. Now, what do we have into these logs in terms of expense? Probably about 4 or 5 gallons of gasoline in the sawmill. Blade lube is pretty cheap. I'm not even going to count that. And we probably use, let's say, 2 saw blades, and those are about 30 bucks a piece. So $20 in gas, $60 in saw blades. So if you take the amount that we saved from Home Depot at $1,272 and back out $80, we're sitting right at about $1,200 is what we're saving now. If you take the $1,200 that we saved and divide it by what I'm estimating will be our time of 25 hours, what does that work out to? 1,200 divided by 25 hours means that basically we are paying ourselves $47 an hour to mill our own lumber instead of buying it. Now, one thing you definitely need to keep in mind is these logs I got for free. If you actually had to go out and buy the logs, that would greatly reduce that number that you're paying yourself. It's really going to eat into the savings that you're going to have. But yeah, right now it seems like a lot of work. We're about halfway through the tunnel. Like I said, it took us about 10 hours to mill these logs. We've got about 3 hours of planing. and I think our total time until these are going to be ready to hang on the wall is about 25 hours. So we are 13 hours into a 25-hour project here, and it seems like a lot right now, but I think it's definitely going to be worth it in the end. Obviously, we could have gone to Home Depot 2 months ago and bought all of this and our walls would have been up and done. But that doesn't account for every time somebody comes into this garage and is going to look at those walls and go, wow, that's really cool. I'll be able to say, yeah, and what's even cooler is I milled those trees myself here on the property and hung them up. I made those. So at the end of the day, we always try to break down the dollars and cents of the projects that we're working on. How much are we saving? How much are we making? How much are we spending? And one thing I think we forget to mention a lot is the intangible aspects of the projects. Like this, for example, I'm going to be able to walk in this shop every single day when this project is done and be filled with just an extra little sense of pride knowing that I milled these walls myself and I didn't just go out and buy them. And I don't think that's something you can really capture in terms of a number. Let me know in the comments below if you are a buy it and be done with the project as quick as possible kind of guy, or if you would take the extra time to mill the logs yourself, finish them yourself, just for that extra little sense of satisfaction. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this one, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.